Hey, what's up guys? Matt here with Fix Anything Save Money. Today we're going to be showing you how to replace the carburetor on this Craftsman chainsaw. This is the 16-inch and it's model, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but it's model 358.360260. Okay, so we're going to be showing you step by step how to replace the carburetor. So if your chainsaw is starting and stalling, it won't stay running, it's bogging down, you know, when you go to give it gas, it's cutting out. Things like that are all indicative of your carburetor starting to go bad, starting to get gummed up. So what I like to do is just swap them out with aftermarket carb kits. There's a company called HIPA that makes really great carburetor kits, and you get a whole bunch of stuff with it, so you could kind of do a tune-up while you're doing all this. So you can see here you get an air filter, you get the carburetor itself, spark plug, gaskets, priming bulb, and then a fuel filter. So they pretty much give you everything you need to get this back up and running smoothly like the day you bought it. So we're going to dive right into this video and we're going to show you how to replace the carburetor. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a T25. Really all we're going to need for this is a T25, and then I like to have a flathead. So we're going to take the T25 and we're going to remove this screw right here, and then this one in the front right there. And then that's going to allow us to remove this cover. And you don't need to remove these fully, you could just loosen them up a bunch and the cover will come straight up. There's that one. And then we're just going to lift the cover straight up and just slide that out of the way. Okay, and then this gives us access to the cylinder head and to the air filter housing, which is going to give us access to the carburetor. Okay, so we're going to remove this dirty air filter. We'll change that out later. And then the other tool, I apologize, you're also going to need an 8mm socket and ratchet to remove these two nuts right here. So again, that's an 8mm. Okay, there's one. And there's two. And then this cover just slides off of these bolts, and we could put that off to the side as well. Okay, so that gives us access to the carburetor and all the fuel lines and all that fun stuff. So first thing we're going to do is just kind of lift this choke lever up and out of your way. That's attached right to here. We'll show you that in a second too. We're going to leave that attached for now. So what we're going to do is take our tiny little flathead and we're just going to pry these fuel lines off. So this fuel line, just so you know, this fuel line goes down and it goes around the bottom of everything, and it goes down into the fuel tank and it connects to the fuel filter. So this line right here takes fuel out of the tank, primes the carburetor, and then if you look over on this side, there's another one right here, and that fuel line goes to the priming bulb, and then from the priming bulb the line comes out this way and it goes down into the tank. And I'll show you that once the carburetor is off. Okay, so we'll take the fuel lines off now, just taking a flathead and just prying them straight off. Same with this one down here. Okay, so now the only thing holding our carburetor in place is the throttle linkage right here. And I like to just remove the carburetor off of these bolts right here, these two bolts right here. You could just actually remove it fully off those bolts And then to remove it off of this linkage right here, just twist it up and pull it straight out like that. Okay, and then here's our linkage. That's what it looks like, and that's how it goes down right in here. Hopefully you could see that. Okay, so when you pull your trigger, that's what happens. All right, so now the only thing we have to do is remove the choke lever from this piece right here. And you could just pull that straight out. It takes a little bit of muscle, but you could pull that straight out, set that off to the side. And then we're gonna grab our new carburetor. Here's our new one. And this is the way it's gonna go on, right like that. So we could go ahead and put this piece back onto here. And that just pushes on. And then we could take our throttle cable, and again, we're just going to be putting it into this hole right here, but we're just going to take the carburetor and we're just going to kind of twist it up just so that it could go around this hook. And then we're just going to twist it back down. Okay. And now, you're out here, before I do that, we'll show you these fuel lines real quick. All right, so here's the fuel line I was talking about that goes down into right here. That goes down into the tank, connects to your fuel filter. And then this priming bulb has two little nozzles on it inside. I'll try to show you that. There's two little nozzles in the priming bulb. One of them, the one on the left-hand side, this one right here, point to it, this one right here is going to go to the bottom part of our carburetor. And then this one right here just empties fuel back down into the tank. You can see it right here. It just terminates down into the tank about an inch, and it just dumps the fuel back into the tank that's not being used. Okay, so now that we went over all the fuel lines, we're just going to take this old gasket, remove this. Then we're going to grab our new gasket and just put it over these bolts like so. Okay, and now we can show you this new carburetor and kind of just how that all works. So we're just going to take our new lever, push that into here, like so. And then what I like to do is take this fuel line that's going to the priming bulb, and we're going to put it on this angled nozzle here. We're going to do that first to put it back together. So feed that up through there, like that. And then take your throttle cable. Make sure your throttle linkage, is on kind of on this side of everything so that it doesn't sit behind this nozzle. If it sits behind it, then when you go to pull your trigger, it's not going to actually pull. Okay, and then we're just going to take our carburetor, tip it up like that, and put our linkage back in like that. So there's the linkage in, and then we're just going to put it through our bolts. Okay, and then I like to just make sure that you just kind of press on this, keep that in place, and just pull your trigger. Make sure everything is moving freely. We could go ahead and hook this line back up. Okay, that line's hooked back up. And we could go ahead and push this little grommet back into place like that. And then you can see here, that's going to move freely, so we could push it up against here. We could engage the choke. All that's working. Our linkage is working. So now we could put it all back together, put our cover back on. Cover goes back over the bolts like that. It sits into these little pieces here, like that. And then we could put our little 8mm nuts back on. So yeah, hopefully that kind of explanation on the fuel lines helped you guys out. I know I'm always kind of wondering what lines go to where, so that's one of the things I look at when I first tear something apart, because you don't want to tear it apart and then you don't know how to hook the fuel lines back up. Okay, and then we'll just tighten these nuts back down the rest of the way. Okay, nuts are tightened back down. Now we can put our cover back on. Just slide it in, kind of set it down in there, and you'll know when it seats correctly. Oh, first, sorry, we need to put our new air filter back on. Okay, put our cover back down. Make sure it's seated properly. Okay. And then we're going to take our T25 and tighten down our screws. And yeah, guys, that pretty much sums up the video on how to replace the carburetor on this Craftsman 16-inch chainsaw. I'm probably going to do another video on just a general tune-up, how to change the fuel filter, spark plug, just kind of like a yearly maintenance type thing. So I'll probably be posting the video on that in a few days. So if you guys have any questions at all on this video, though, be sure to reach out in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, if this video helped you out, be sure to give it a like. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Check out all of my other tool and DIY videos. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.